know, I have mentioned it already several times through the course, that if you think of English, most English sentences are that, or a clause. There's a sentence, a verb, subject, verb, and object. Yeah? Sometimes, if it's an intransitive verb, we can do without an object, can't we? And sometimes we can drop subjects, like with imperative verbs. Shut the door, turn off the light, no subject. So sometimes we can get rid of those. But pretty hard to get rid of the verb. The verb is the core. It's a worry, isn't it? The verb is the core of the sentence. And historically that's true as well. I've mentioned that human language evolves out of the verb. Like the first things people said to each other were probably imperative verbs. Like run. There's a line, you know, run, eat, hold this while I do this. You know, they were verbs. And I think I've demonstrated already a few times that the verb is kind of, yeah, it's the historical origin is verb, then the noun developed, then the adjective, then the adverb. And ultimately it comes back to the verb. So in lots of ways, the verb is the basis of a language. Where can you get a good list of English verbs? I mean, after kind of teaching many years, I've come to this conclusion that the verb is the centre. I mean, other people have as well, you know, but it's certainly just kind of whatever angle you approach grammar and writing and speaking and whatever, the verb is really central. So that raises the question, where do you find a decent list of English verbs where you can kind of work through it? So I hunted around and I found this, and I can't remember the link, but it's out there on the internet. Anyway, you've got it here, hard copy. To me, that's sort of the equivalent of the academic word list. You know, in the sense the academic word list is this core group of vocabulary that doesn't matter what you're talking about or writing about, you just need this core list. That's kind of the equivalent in verbs. It's not every verb in the language is there. But most of these, if you have a look at them, are physical. They're material verbs, most. And I've told you before, out of the material verb, you get metaphorical use of the verb. You get idioms, you get metaphorical use, etc. Let's have a look at an example. They're not, yeah. Even the word, look at bang, see? Number 5 in B. Bang. Now you bang on the table. That's the material verb. Okay, but we can say, I get more bang for my buck if I do da-da-da, bang for your buck. So, what does this mean? Buck means $1. It's just a slang expression. So, okay, you pay $1, and how much bang do you get? How much effect? Bang here means effect, doesn't it? It's just become a metaphor for like an explosion. So, what's an example of a bang for your buck? Okay, I could say, all right, if you learn those academic words, those 570, you know, you could pick any, just random, you could pick 570 new words to learn. My argument is it's more effective if you learn 570 of those words, you get more impact, you get more effect, you get more bang for your buck if you learn the academic word list words rather than just random words. Do you see how it works? It's meaning you get more effect, you get more consequence, it's more efficient. Okay, so look, that's an example of how you just take one material verb there, and out of that comes idioms, metaphors, etc., etc. So if that's the case, that's the foundation of the language. Here are all these physical, some are mental verbs, but mainly physical. And through most kids' writing and teenage literature, you'll see these verbs over and over and over again. And the native has worked their way through these over the first 10 or 15 years of learning. And they've got a good reader anyway, has got pretty solid control of all of those. Now the question is, at your level now, the majority of those, I bet you know, but there'll be gaps. And so that's the point of the list. Where are your gaps? So let's have 5 minutes of just, say, looking at, just on this page, we'll just stick to this first page, just the A list. Have a look down that list and mark anything that you're not sure of. So I want you to mark 2 things. Words you don't know, definitely never heard that word, don't know it. Even if you've heard it, you don't know it. And secondly, I'm not so sure about that. You know? So I want you to mark anything that you're a bit weak on, a bit wobbly on. Just go down the A list and have a look. See what you find. Like number 1 is probably unusual for many.
Some of them like past tense.
Are in past tense?
Just like the
Like which?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Acted.
Which one?
7.
Just say the word.
Acted. Is that
Acted.
past tense?
Ah, right. Acted.
And altered.
Authored.
Altered.
Altered. Yeah, it shouldn't be. Yeah, that's okay. Think of it as act then. Forget the past tense. Yeah, altered. I see. Altered, yeah. No, they shouldn't be. They should all just be in the non-finite form. So, yeah. Ascertain. Ascertain is how you say that word. Yeah, look, why not go over the page with the A's? Look, it's only a short bit more, isn't it? Why not have a look at that? Yeah, ascertain is how you say that one. Yeah, I agree, James. That's a bit weird why some are in the past tense like that. They should all just be in the present. Now, okay, I reckon, my guess, thinking of people's vocabulary here, those are probably the ones, if you're marking new ones, as a kind of average, I reckon those might be a bit tricky. Are they the ones, if you mark any? Not everyone will have exactly the same, but I would imagine they're the less frequent ones, the ones I see less in people's writing or hear in their speech, yeah. So out of the A's, this is the group to work on, isn't it? So it's a resource that really, fairly soon we're going to do stuff on vocabulary memorisation, how to remember words. And combine that with this list, it would be a kind of systematic way of just making sure that you fill all your gaps. So rather than, the best way to learn vocabulary is in actual practice, reading, listening, you hear a new word, you guess it. That's the most natural and effective way. This is just another strategy, however, of if you want to say to yourself, well, I want to make sure I cover the foundation that native speakers have. So if I get all my verbs in place, out of the verb, you'll get nouns, you'll get adjectives, you'll get adverbs arising out of the verb. So that's my point. You get more bang for your buck, that expression again, if you learn the verb, because out of the verb, as we've seen, like the Latin verbs even, grows the tree of lots of other words, doesn't it? So out of that, if you learn the adjective, that's not as powerful. It's a branch on the tree, or a leaf. If you learn the root, which is the verb, that's going to strategically be more effective. So what we've got here is a list of, as I said, not every verb, but the main ones. And, it's over to you as to how you do this. I'll give you some suggestions next, suggestions as to how to explore these now. Okay, obviously the first thing you can do is simply definitions. So, without using any other resource, let's not use the computer yet. We'll use it in the last 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, you probably marked some of these. Just get with a partner and see. They may not have marked exactly the same. So maybe your partner knows what that one and that one means, and they'll have marked others, and you'll know what they mean. All right? Just have a quick exchange. No reference to phones or computers. What can your partner tell you about some of those unknown words? Can they give you an explanation? Form a little group of 3 if you need to, or pairs.